Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have back with us Shawn Milton, who's the founder of SNS Life and Financial Services, and we'll be talking about the risks in retirement. Shawn, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Mike, thank you for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. So I think that a lot of people go, oh, retirement, yay, that sounds wonderful. And then risk, what? I don't want to hear about risks in or of retirement or risk impacting retirement. Tell me about these risks because we want to avoid them. So talk a little bit about some of the steps that clients can take to make sure that their retirement savings last their entire lifetime, and avoid these risks.
So, in one of the podcasts that we did last, we talk about the longevity risk, which is just that's what, like, if you look at what's happening out in America, like, a lot of persons are wondering, have I saved enough? Will I outlive my income? Or sometimes when you look on how much you have saved versus if you should be God forbids confined to a nursing home, I think the last time I did a research, the national average for a nursing home is $100,000.
Wow.
Right? And in where I live, where it's close to the DC, in the DC area, DMV area, I'm pretty sure it's way much more than $100,000. So even with your income, how are you able to safeguard your income if in the event that something happens? Because we don't I always hear someone say we don't buy insurance when we need it. We buy it before the need arises, right? And that's the same
you
thing.
don't wreck your car and go, oops, I forgot to renew my car insurance. Let me go set it up. It's already wrecked.
Yep. So these are some of at least one of the things that we actually need to put in place before, like, hey, if this happens, would I be safeguarded? Would my retirement income would I still be able to get my retirement income coming in? So that's I think that's one of the hot topics on the American persons who are looking to go into retirement. That's one of the things that they are looking at, like, do I have that longevity safeguard? And then we also have the market risk. The market can be up today and then tomorrow you're retiring and it's down and then you're losing half of your portfolio. And not a lot of persons are comfortable with that market risk.
Yeah, that's a really huge point because risk, some people can take more than other people. And definitely, let's even be honest, that if you're in your 20s and 30s, maybe you can take a little more risk planning for retirement because you've got a longer runway. But when you start getting into 50s, 60s, you need to tap the brakes there on that risk. Talk a little bit about, are your clients comfortable with the level of risk that they have? And I'm envisioning, they're watching the news, hearing about the markets, or they're open up their portfolio statement and go, oh my word, we just dropped 30%. Talk a little bit about that risk and what can be done about that.
So I'm going to use an example from the last 2 weeks. Today's the 29th of May, 24. So I had two clients came to me. They were interested in the real estate offering that has a double-digit return that we had mentioned. And I simply asked them a question: how much of this money are you comfortable with losing?
Ooh.
And do you know what the answer to that is, Mike?
Let me guess. None.
None. So
right.
So you find that when you're in that 50s and above, and that retirement is just 15 years away, you don't want to lose any of that money. In some cases, I would almost say you can't afford to lose any of that money. So So I do have clients that they're not comfortable with the idea that, hey, I might go to bed today and then tomorrow or next week, my account is down $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000. And there's that uncertainty of, am I going to be able to get this back before I retire or even get more than this so I could have enough money for retirement? And sometimes the answer is no. The markets are
Yeah.
unpredictable, and the past performance of the market is not indicative of what the market will be doing in the future. So you can say, oh, yesterday we had a good day, so 2 days from now we're gonna have the same day again or even a better day. It's uncertain, it's unknown, and a lot of persons are not comfortable with it, especially in this type of market where you have the inflations happening. And I'm of the belief that once inflation takes place, it's kind of hard to balance it out because the prices are at the pump kind of remains the same, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're on a fixed income, especially when you're in that retirement, then you want to be planning ahead for that inflation so that you don't outlive your money.
Well, when
So
you asked that client or that person, how much are you willing to lose, and they probably said as little as possible or none. What's the solution? Because we all know that money in the market, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things like that, have the risk of volatility, and you can lose money. We can hear that earnings, whatever. You can hear, all of these news items that cause a stock and a portfolio to drop dramatically. What do you do? Is there alternatives to start taking money out of that market? And I think that traditionally people go, oh, I'm just going to stay in cash and put it in savings. Well, that's earning 0.000 whatever percent. And then, oh, I'll put it in a CD. Well, that's not wonderful. So what are some of those things they could be considering to get some of that guaranteed income without loss?
so one of the things that we do look at is that we have real estate companies. They offer double-digit return in the year. And if needs be, we can also look at an annuity, which there is a downside protection. Um, do like a double indemnity. So in the event that you're
Mm,
confined to a nursing home, then the amount your income would be doubled.
wow.
So that's a way that we can definitely protect our clients from outliving their money. We are saying, hey, this is going to be what insurance company is willing to offer. You have that downside protection and you get some of the upside of the market, which and your gains are locked in every year. So you don't have to be worried about losing anything. That is just like, I like the word compounding for
Yeah.
this example here, because your gains are always compounding on your principal. You can never lose. And then you also have where when it's time for you to turn on income in these annuities, then if you have to go into a nursing home, then you have that protection as well to know that, all right, I was planning for 100,000, but here is it, a life event happens, there's a change in circumstances. And well, my financial advisor kind of helped me with a product that planned out for this, right?
Yes.
So you do have that, or you have also the life insurance. You're doing Roth
Hmm.
conversion into a life insurance. You're able to strategize as to how much income you're going to be taking out of the policy as well, and also lowering your tax risk as well using a life insurance policy. So there's a few ways that we can definitely strategize to make sure that you're getting the best outcome and income when that time is required.
I think that when you think about people that, you think about those examples you see online, here's Tom and here's Fred, and here's their example and example, and Tom might have all of his money in the market, and he's showing Fred, look, I made 24%. Look at that great gain, and Fred only has an annuity where he earns much less than that, but it's steady Eddie, and it's not going to lose. But then all of a sudden, one year comes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, my money in the market, we lost 48%. It's like, oh my goodness, how much did you lose? None. And I think that that is such a powerful position to be in, to realize you've got that protection on the downside. You can't lose money. And then you participate in the upside where you're going to be guaranteed a certain amount of return. And having those products, I feel like 8 out of 10 people don't even know that they exist.
Yes, and that's because the internet is a very powerful thing, but it can also be a very dangerous thing because it's just information that sometimes we're not able to interpret without proper guidance. And maybe in the past, somebody sold a bad annuity and that client goes on to write in something that, oh, annuities are bad, or even from a financial perspective, a financial advisor who doesn't like the idea of not having that asset under management and getting that fee from that they're saying, you know what, annuities is bad. And so you go on a website and you search it up, and then you're seeing, oh, this is bad, without sitting down and actually speaking to an authority in that space to see how it would fit in your portfolio. Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, we have to realize that oh, this is our goal. Our goal is retirement income that is safe, secured. And if that's what our goal is, then when we back engineer it, we're trying to see what tools can we utilize to get us there. Right? So if a client want to take some of the risk off the table and also start projecting income, and we decide that, hey, an annuity might be what is best in this situation, right? We're just utilizing that particular tool to help safeguard that. So it's not a blanket statement where, oh, some people are like, oh, I don't want anything to do with annuities. And I've had clients that, they just don't want anything to do with annuities because of something that they have read. That's probably outdated information. Probably that's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And the financial field is always changing. The laws are changing, so and
improving as well, because we don't need to get into the. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get into the details of misconceptions of annuities, but I do agree that 10, 15 years ago, there were some people that are like, oh, annuities are bad because, and it's like, oh yeah, that you need to be aware of that. But I know now that there are really powerful annuities that have added in so many of these benefits and riders, and it's things that you would never have dreamt that would provide you benefits of an annuity. But the biggest thing is safety, security, guarantee of income. You can't lose it. I think that is so powerful.
And I agree with that, especially in today's day and age. You just never know what's going to happen, and you want to not have all of your eggs just exposed to in one particular place,
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that safety piece, just having something there that is protecting you from the market.
And talking about risks, you mentioned inflation. You can't do anything about that. But taxes is another thing that we can't do anything about other than recognize that they exist, recognize they're probably going to go up. And this is my opinion only, so you can comment on this, but taxes are related to the national deficit, which is who knows how much, huge, because the only way to handle the deficit is to stop spending, which the government won't do, or to raise taxes. So we know that taxes are going to go up in the future. So how do you plan for that? So talk a little bit about how, future tax changes could really impact retirement savings for clients.
So, there's one thing I always ask my clients: do you believe that taxes will go up, stay the same, or be lower in the future? And
Yeah.
I think 95% people are like, it's gonna go up. And
Yep.
that's because yes, we have a spend we're spending and there's a deficit, and all of these things are playing into our retirement. And we're also taxes is is not static, it's dynamic, and it's based off even the leaders that are in, if they see it's it's okay to raise taxes. So um being that we don't know the outcome of what future taxes is, and that is why I always say we have to have a strategy when it comes on to retirement income, right? To see how we can balance all of what we have, all of our retirement portfolio, to also um to also kind of deal with our tax liabilities, or our tax risk for retirement, because you could be retiring, and the person who is leading the country decided, hey, it's going to be best for us to raise taxes. And if taxes are raised when you're on a fixed income, then you might be seeing less of that coming out. So,
Yeah.
as mentioned earlier, I have clients who they bite the bullet and start a conversion to put some of their money into a tax favored vehicle, like a life insurance. And even within doing a life insurance, you do have where you could also explore having that money being leveraged as well, to where there's a match. Whatever you put in is matched over a 5-year period, and then that is being leveraged out to 15 years, and that is providing 60 to 100% more retirement income in the long term for you. So as it relates to taxes, we're always having to look ahead as to what that tax obligation might be, and also plan for it using different vehicles. As
Yeah.
you know, annuity is tax deferred, right? So it's just a different strategies that I feel like we would have to look at where the client is at, how much they have coming in, what's their goals in the future, and then execute on getting on
What makes sense to them, because like we've said over and over, it depends.
it
It's
depends.
it's not one size fits all. It's not an annuity for all and everyone. And that conversion you were mentioning, you might be converting out of a 401k or an IRA into a Roth IRA where it grows tax free, and that could be an option, but it's not the right fit for every single person every single time. So I think that right there is the most important thing people need to
Yes.
realize is, when we're talking about these risks of retirement with volatility and losing money in the markets and taxes and inflation, there are ways to kind of put that moat of protection around your retirement savings where you can get guaranteed rate of return with no risk of losing your money. Now, what's the best formula to get there? That's what Shawn's been talking about. Is it all depends, but here's an option, here's an option, here's an option. And I think that if people can understand that one concept right there, there's a way to protect yourself. Now explore it and see what is right for you.
Yes. So, and I think that's the most important. As I said, looking at everything as a tool to guide you to your goal.
Yes. Well, I
So
love it. Well, Shawn, it's always a pleasure hearing just your simple, clear way of explaining things. If someone is interested in learning more about what you offer and how you work with your clients, what's the best way they can learn more, and then also reach out and connect with you?
So you could head directly to my website at sndslifeandfinancialservices.com. And that's where you'll be able to see more of what I do, and also to request a consult.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming back on. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. I really appreciate you having me.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.